Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
See something, smell something, hear something, say something. Call 911, take a video, provide first aid, and run like hell. But in the meantime, enjoy yourself, America. The country is safe. Go about your business. Just be aware of what's going on around you. And if you know somebody is about to do something, let the authorities know.
That right there, Lieutenant General Russell Hunter talking about see something, say something. It's inauguration week. What will happen? Everybody's waiting for something big to happen. They've already arrested 3 people who were trying to get into the little green zone there. And 2 of them had guns and ammunition, were supposed to be there. The third one, they're not saying what he or she could have potentially had or not had. But this is huge. I mean, this week is a big week. Trump has about, 2 days, give or take, of being president. He's probably thinking about what's his legacy look like. What's my legacy? Your legacy's destroyed. Your legacy's destroyed. Whether you want to believe it or not, your legacy is destroyed. And now you've got a potential second impeachment trial that could be starting very early, like this week.
We are likely just days away from the second impeachment trial of President Trump. I want to paint a little picture of what we can expect in the coming days. This trial is likely to begin around the time that incoming President Joe Biden takes office. Now, we're increasingly hearing calls from Democratic senators to do a speedy trial. They argue that there's no need for a lengthy investigation or a fact-finding mission because, in their view, the evidence of the president's misconduct is readily available on videotape.
And one of the things they said they're trying to do is to push for not so much even what took place that day as the 60 days that ran up to that day of the continuous lies about the thing being stolen from him and, going and continually pushing insane, crazy, at times ridiculous conspiracy theories is probably the best way to point. I mean, that's probably the best way to describe it. Probably the best way to describe it was the insane conspiracy theories that were continually thrown out there over and over and over and over again. The question is, who's going to defend him? That's a big question.
His personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, spotted at the White House over the weekend, said he was working on the case. But overnight, Giuliani now telling ABC News he won't be on the president's legal team after all, saying his role in the rally before the riot makes him a witness.
Yeah. And the other thing about that, too, is Trump and everybody else has heard if Giuliani, because Giuliani was going to spend the entire time basically talking about election fraud and pointing all this stuff out, and they, across the board, both Republicans and Democrats, essentially said, hey, if Giuliani's involved in this, it's going to get ugly for you. It's going to be absolutely ugly for you. But the big one is everybody's going to look at Mitch McConnell. Mitch is it. He says he wants everybody to vote their conscience. He says it is about a vote of conscience. And the reality is how he goes, so goes the president and the Republicans.
It's going to be a very uphill climb to 67 votes in the Senate. And my Republican sources here on the Hill say it's likely to come down to Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican leader. You could potentially peel off 4 or 5 or 6 Republican senators without him, but getting to 17, which is the magic number that Democrats will need, is going to be a steep hill to climb.
So if Mitch says, you know what, we need to get rid of this guy, we need to make sure that he has nothing at all to do with politics from here on out, this is what we need to do. We need to get rid of him. But it's tough because a lot of Republicans realize that this guy has a following, has a base, has a group of people, albeit fanatics, albeit at times just absolutely cult-like. And we'll touch on that in a little bit. But you walk that fine line of wanting to keep some of these people and have them vote for you, and also the fear factor of the potential of what may happen to you as they come hard if you are seen to be the traitor. If you've not seen the videos that are out there, there's new videos of these nut jobs inside of the Capitol, and it is scary.
Let the people in! Let the people in! Treason! 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 Yes! Defend your Constitution! Defend your liberty!
1776!
You afraid of Antifa? Well, guess what? America showed up!
Ah! Yeah. We got a lot of that to talk about today. We do. We have a lot of that to talk about throughout the day as we break this thing down. And I'm not going to lump. Hey, look, if you voted for Trump, it's so funny because you can see people out there. So if you voted for Trump, you're a white supremacist, and it's just shut up. That is insane. But there were a group of people who sold their soul for Trump, who are willing to do anything for Trump, who believed that Trump was speaking to them directly, who believed that everything he said was about, this is what you guys need to do, and because of that, you guys need to come here and you need to do this.
Like a criminal? No. I thought I was following my president. I thought I was following what we were called to do, flying there. He asked us to fly there. He asked us to be there. So I was doing what he asked us to do. So as far as in my heart of hearts, do I feel like a criminal? No.
But you're going to be treated as one because what you did was criminal. She's a realtor named Jenna Ryan. She flew out there and she thought she should be a part of this. She thought this is what it was all about. She thought, hey, you know what? My president's coming to, and he's telling me that I need to do this. He's telling me I need to come here and do this. He's telling me I need to go there and to not just let my voice be heard, but get inside of there. And my goodness me. It's crazy. It really is. And if you've seen the video, you know, you've got Jake Angeli, the guy with the horns, right, sitting there. And he holds a prayer talking about globalists and all kinds of communists, and then he writes something to, he writes something to the vice president. And I spoke with his attorney on Friday, he's got a long road to go to try to get this guy any kind of leniency. And the way that he was spun it is, hey, this guy here was like everybody else. They were duped. And he even said the same thing I've been saying a while, a bit of it very much Jonestown. But you're still responsible for your actions. Absolutely, 110%. You are responsible for your actions. No matter what Rudy Giuliani said, or Mo Brooks, or any of these other people, or the president, you're responsible for your actions. He may have lit the bomb, but you decided where the bomb went off, and you took it there. You are responsible for your actions. But these people get sucked in. And it is scary. It truly is scary. And I think some of them are starting to realize right now the kind of trouble they're in. What they're facing is a very long time in jail for what they did. It wasn't an insurgency. It was no different than Black Lives Matter. No, it was. It was different. Look, both are wrong. I'm going to say this once, although I have to usually say it 1,000 times. What happened in the summer, continuous rioting and burning down and looting and killing, is wrong. Period. What happened 2 weeks ago at the Capitol was wrong. Period. Absolutely wrong. The fact that we always have to point those things out, it's amazing. But everybody wants to essentially make them the same. They're not the same. One group of people was there to do something to try to sway our political structure. Both are wrong, but they're different. And neither should get a pass. And all should be prosecuted to the hilt. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. It's so funny that you just can't even. you can't even talk about stuff like this without like, okay, hold on. These people are going to make this argument, and these people over here, both were wrong. The Democrats, you guys played a huge part in the summer. You ignored it. You egged it on. You cheered it on. You were responsible in the sense of giving people the free pass to go and be a-holes and do horrible things to their community and to individuals and to businesses. That's on you. Absolutely. And this is on Trump and a lot of these other politicians who followed lockstep with him and have just allowed him to say the most insane things and not check him out of fear of what potentially may come through social media and the insanity of so many of these people who buy into this craziness. Neither is right. But at this moment, we're talking about this. We're talking about what took place and the fact that right now, our inauguration, there's going to be 25,000 soldiers protecting the Capitol. And we're not talking about all the other police, all the other law enforcement. Our state capitals are locked up. Yeah, there are issues here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Imagine having your house stolen and you don't know anything about it until you start getting phone calls and letters that say, hey, why aren't you paying back the loans you took out on your house? You're like, I didn't take a loan out of my house, but your title was stolen. It happens, and it's happening more frequently than you even think about. Like, there's no way. Yeah, it's easier than stealing a car. And it's a lot more profitable. So this is what happens, right? People go and all they have to do is look up your address and your name. Your title is out there for the public and the world to see. They forge your signature stating you sold them the home, put a fake notary stamp on it, and then they refile as the new owner. Boom. Next thing you know, they're taking out loans. You're stuck with the payment. You may even get evicted. That's the insanity of what's going on. Home title theft is real. Home Title Lock is here to help. They're going to alert you when anything's happening with your title. And should somebody happen to sneak by, you're going to get $250,000 to help in the defense of your title being stolen. Thieves are smarter, and they're looking for easier, quicker ways. And with Bitcoin and things like that, they're even holding your homes hostage. Protect your home now with Home Title Lock. Go to HometitleLock.com. Register your address to see if you're already a victim, and use code RADIO. You get 30 days free protection to help you through it. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com. Code Radio, HometitleLock.com. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
Rappers, white-collar criminals, drug offenders, people serving exceptionally long prison sentences. About 100 names reportedly on the list for President Trump's final round of pardons before he exits the White House. The New York Times reports Trump allies have collected tens of thousands of dollars from people seeking pardons, but sources say the president is not expected to pardon himself. The latest ABC News Washington Post poll says 68% of Americans are opposed to Trump granting himself a pardon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who he pardons. There's going to be some interesting names on there, a lot of names you've never heard. Old business associates, who knows who else. Other foreign leaders who may ask, hey, can you do a solid? So-and-so's over there. That'll be very interesting to see. And then who's the high name celebrities that may be under rappers? It's going to be very interesting, right? I'm telling you, man, Tiger King, baby. I'm waiting for Tiger King. Tiger King, is he going to be on there? Is Tiger King going to be on the list? It's possible. It's possible. You never know with Trump, and when you don't have that much time, as he doesn't, you just don't know what he's going to do. But we'll find out in the next 48 hours or so, give or take. That being said, coronavirus is still here, and we're a hot mess.
The Trump team just told governors who were shocked that they have no vaccine in reserves, that there isn't going to be a second dose for a lot of people who got the first dose. So can you still really guarantee that any American who needs a second dose will be able to get that second dose? You're inheriting kind of a mess here, right?
We're inheriting a huge mess here, Jake. But we have a plan to fix it. The president-elect laid out that plan on Friday, 5 concrete steps to move us forward. We think there are things we can do to speed up the delivery of that vaccine.
It is such a mess. That's Ron Klain. He's the new White House chief of staff as of Wednesday afternoon, but he's out there already doing his job. It is a giant mess. It is beyond a mess. So Friday, Alex Azar is like, hey, you remember the thing with all the vaccines, the warehouse? We had all the vaccines. I went out there and there's nothing in there. Yeah. We don't have any. But we were telling everybody we had them. Yeah, but we don't. But what do you mean we don't? And I'm like, where are they? Did you guys send them out already? No, we never had them. So what we had is what we had? Yeah. An absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare. And you're hearing stories of people not showing up for their vaccine shot. They're having to throw stuff away. You've got people that are getting shots that may not get their second dose. They're still offered some protection with this, but it has been a nightmare. All kudos to the president and everybody who put the vaccine on hyper speed to get it done. Warp speed, as they call it. But like everything else, the execution to get it out to everybody, like the way that we've tackled it at the beginning, has been a farce. Has been an absolute farce. And continues to be that way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's still out there, and you could still win it. In fact, both of them, $1.5 billion is how much is up for grabs. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Nancy Pelosi. Some shit. Where the is Nancy? We pay for it. This is our house. No, this is our chair. I agree with you, brother, but it's not ours. We're a democracy. It belongs to the Vice President of the United States. Yeah. It's not our chair. Look, I love you guys, you're brothers, but we can't be disrespectful. Better than that. Yeah. Here, look.
Ted Cruz's objection to the Arizona.
His objection. He was going to sell us out all along.
There's got to be something in here we can use against bags or whatever.
I think Cruz would want us to do this, so yeah, absolutely. I think we're good.
If you've not seen, there's video of the idiots on the House floor just running amok and taking pictures of everybody's notes and papers, sitting up there where Vice President sat. You got the crazy Jake Angeli, the shaman of Q, writing something to the Vice President. It is ugly, to say the least, and they're going to pay a price for it. They're going to pay a price for what they did. It's not insurrection. It was. These people were hoping to use intimidation to sway something politically. That's kind of terrorism right there. Look at the definition of terrorism. That's it. Now, not everybody there was a part of that, but there was enough that you're like, oh, sweet mother of goodness, what the hell is going on here? A lot of those people that wandered in there had no idea what was going on. They just followed people in there. They did. They followed people in there, and away it went. People are trying to make the same case. Well, this was kind of like what happened during the hearings of Kavanaugh, where people pushed their way in. You can't draw this. This is not the same. I mean, yes, were those people out of control? Was I worried about some of those people? More for themselves than anybody else. I would be worried for people if some of these people would have caught some of them. I mean, they were so like, oh, God, Ted Cruz is going to sell us out. Somebody had to explain to him, no, he's objecting to this. Oh, okay, so that's a good thing? Do you have any idea what you're doing there? Do you have any idea other than causing hell and havoc? No. And because of that, the inauguration it looks more like a military show than it does an inauguration.
25,000 expected to be in place by Wednesday, a military force 5 times larger than that in Iraq and Afghanistan, as the threat to this city remains high.
25,000. And 25,000 of them that are all being vetted because of what took place at the Capitol. And are there some people in here that could be an issue?
Been vetting them through the FBI, getting support from the Federal Bureau of Investigation to continue the vetting of every man and woman that come here.
Yeah, they have to. As they do a deep dive into what took place at the Capitol, was there more to the story? I think we're going to find out there was more to the story. Now, does that mean that people were involved on the inside, as they're trying to point out to a lot of other people in there? Hey, some of these cops were okay. There were cops that, some people inside the Capitol said, hey, don't ask for, even though they're asking for people, let's not give them anything. I mean, there was some issues here that need to absolutely be looked at 110%, and they'll play politics for it. But we do need to look at what took place. Were some of these officers just in the moment, or did they know other things potentially ahead of time? I think that's a fair question, because it sure looked like some officers were doing other things, and some officers seemed to be like a matador allowing the bull to come through. And people are even asking that question, too, that were there. Well, hold on a second. They just kind of let me in. They let my family in. And that's why when they start to break this thing down and they start tearing it apart inch by inch, they're going to go, okay, which one of you is here for trespassing? Because there's so much footage. Some people just, they wandered in. Other people, though, were there to do some serious damage if given the opportunity.
Capitol Police opened up the gates and let people onto the grounds of the Capitol building. I took it as a sign that it's okay to go up there and walk around the Capitol. Again, I'm here with my son and my 2 daughters. I wanted them to see what political action was like, to basically get a taste, their first time in D.C.
They got a taste, all right. So we'll see what takes place. But some of these people are going to do some serious time, as they should. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. So Biden takes over, and besides the looming ginormous $1.9 trillion he's going to try to get through, and then, of course, you've got the impeachment hearing, there are things he can do immediately, and that is, as we've talked about, same thing with Obama, same thing with Trump. You live by the pen, you can die by the pen. At least your orders can.
Joe Biden plans to hit the ground running after being sworn in with a flurry of executive actions aimed at fulfilling several key campaign promises. The actions include extending the current pause on student loan payments and interest for millions of Americans, rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, ending the Trump administration's Muslim ban, and extending nationwide restrictions on evictions and foreclosures. This is in addition to pushing Congress to move ahead on the $1.9 trillion COVID relief measure he proposed last week.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in there as I started to really kind of parse it out that just aren't going to happen. Remember, there are must-haves, there are wants, and the Democrats realize, look, you're going to have to ask for the moon, right? Eventually, you're going to have to settle for the sky. Do I think the $1,400 will come? Yes. That's the extra 1,400. They've already sent out 600. Do I believe that there's going to be some money out there, targeted money for loans and stuff? Absolutely. Those kind of things I think are going to be there. The extension of unemployment will be there. Some of the other stuff is just, it's just not going to happen. And the big sticking point, I think, for a lot of Republicans, as it should be, is the bailing out of the blue states. The bailing out big time of the overspending, overtaxation, promising the world, especially to a lot of unions across the board, and knowing that you've brought no tax dollars in over the last several months, and a lot of that's on you. And your hope is you get some of this stuff. And a lot of Republicans and even some moderate Democrats are saying, I don't know if we should be spending this much right now because we're already talking about another package in the coming months. So we'll see what takes place. The pipeline, Keystone Pipeline, is done. Absolutely. I don't think he's rejoining the Iran deal because I don't think he ever thought. Look, most people, the Iran deal got done. It wasn't a good deal. Even Chuck Schumer's like, no, this is ridiculous. This deal's awful. We're going to give him 30 days before we come in and investigate something, and we tell them when we're coming? That is not how we do things. I'm interested to see what he does with China. Yesterday, China's GDP grew 2.4% last year. Nobody else did. No other major country did. Wonder why. And if you guys haven't been following, if they've got nothing to hide, why can't the World Health Organization get into the lab where supposedly this thing came from or didn't come from or where they were doing something with? Why can't that happen? I think it's a very fair question. Do I think that China did something on purpose? I have no idea. If somebody is speaking and says, what's your best guesstimate of what you think happened? Barney Fife allowed this thing to get out of the lab, not on purpose, and there was a massive cover-up. That's my best guesstimate, the things I've seen. And the other things they're talking about is they look into this thing. Normally, when you look at some of these viruses, you find it in like a bat or a cat or something of that nature, very close to it. And what they're saying is there isn't anything that really resembles. There's enough in there to piece it together, but not enough to say, oh. So, but yeah, I think it's fair that we ask a serious question with China. And I think the West, not just us, but everybody needs to hold China's feet to the fire. 110%. It's about time that we hold their feet to the fire. That we ask some serious questions, that we 110% when it comes to the World Trade Organization start to really clamp down on the things that they do, and we get serious about it. And it can't just be us. It needs to be everybody. Because everybody's been affected. Australia, been affected. Europe, been affected. South America, been affected. Everybody needs to start holding them accountable for the way that they've done business. And the fact is that the almighty dollar, the almighty pound, the almighty euro, everybody wants cheap labor and cheap goods. But we better figure this thing out when it comes to China. Absolutely. And I know people are saying, well, now that Biden's there, he's just going to give everything away. I don't think he's going to give everything away the way you think. I don't. Will he take a different approach? Yes. But do I think, and maybe if this was a normal circumstance and it was just a normal year, would Biden be a little bit more lenient? Yeah, but I think the rest of the world isn't going to play that game. I hope so. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. By the way, Mega Millions and Powerball. Nobody won either. Mega Millions is $850 million. Powerball, $750 million. $1.5 billion up for grab. Let me say that again. $1.5 billion up for grabs. So if you're feeling lucky, if you're feeling a schmid lucky, this would be the time to go for it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I'll take either one. I'm not picky. I mean, if I win 750 as opposed to 850 million, I got no problem with either of those. I'm good. I'm not, people say, oh, that's really kind of you, Chad. I know. I'm a giver. What can I say? I'm absolutely a giver. I give and I give and I give. Speaking of giving, Raycons, the best earbuds around. Period. Case closed. End of story. I love my Raycons. So I golfed yesterday and the day before. So I go out. I have essentially an abandoned golf course that's kind of kept up behind my house. So it's my personal driving range. And yesterday I did 130 minutes of walking and golfing and hitting. And, I hit a couple, 200-300 balls from different areas. And I was rocking out. Never once did I have to worry about my Raycons dying down. Never once did I have to worry about my Raycons falling out. It was amazing. The best sound quality, the best feel, which separates it, and style. So there's no stems, there's no wires, and the price point that's amazing. They start well under $100, and your chance to get one right now and save some money is right here. Do what I did. Get the best earbuds around. They're called Raycons. Check it out for yourself. BuyRaycon.com/Chad saves you 15%. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
Here it is, second down and goal from the 1. Quarterback sneak, Tom Brady didn't get in. Yes. He's very close. Is it a touchdown, Mr. Ref? Is it a touchdown, Mr. Referee? Yes. Sean Hockley, touchdown, Tampa Bay.
Yes, Tampa Bay. So what a weekend of football. Started with the Rams just being outclassed by Aaron Rodgers. It was that was it. Aaron Donald, their superstar, part of their front four, something was wrong with him. Ribs, something like that. He just didn't play a great game, struggled to get out there. And at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers was just too good. Then, right, you had a great game with Buffalo. Buffalo played great. They look the part right now, and they're going to need that. And then yesterday you had two good games. But last night, the nightcapper was very interesting because it could be the end of one of the greatest quarterbacks in our history, which was Drew Brees. And it would suck to know that his last pass was an interception. Asking, of course, after the game, because you have to. That's your job. You're a reporter. You have to ask the question. You've already signed a contract with NBC. And they've essentially said, when you're ready, it's go time. When is that going to be?
I'll answer this question one time, and that is that I'm going to give myself an opportunity to think about the season, think about a lot of things, just like I did last year, and make a decision.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to be. I think it's over. I think if you watched the game yesterday, over the last 3 years, he's been worn out at the end of the year, and last night just didn't look like he had the goods. That was it. And the other thing I've always said is it's tough to beat team 3 times in a row. That's tough. Now, yesterday's game early was Cleveland versus Kansas City, and it looked like Kansas City was going to run away with the game, and they didn't. They didn't run away with it. And then in the third quarter, late third, early fourth, Patrick Mahomes gets knocked out. And he gets thumped, too. By the way, thumped. But thumped in a weird way. It looked like a regular tackle, but when you watch it, his head hits the ground. He tries to stand up. And it looked like he was in a boxing match with Mike Tyson in the early days because his knees buckled. And he was out for the game, which led to Chad Henne coming in. And he had an incredible scramble on 3rd and 15. Then on 4th and 1, going for it. You think they're going to hand the ball off. Chad Henne, the perennial backup for 13 years, rolls out to the right, little pass, boom, end of game. And that was like, talk about cojones of steel.
Once I got in that huddle, everybody had confidence in me. They were pushing for me, had my back, and this is a great team. It's a great opportunity to go out there and play with this team and, come out with a victory. So
AFC, NFC championship game, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, in Green Bay, the frozen tundra. We'll see how that goes. My spider senses say that it is going to be a Green Bay win. And then you look over and you see the other side of it, and easily the best two teams in the AFC. That is going to be a slugfest. Not quite sure which way I'll go. I will know by the end of this week, though, if I had to put money down. It's just a hell of a week of football. I enjoyed every second of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Less than, 2 days away? Gonna have a new president. It's very interesting. Lots of people protecting the Capitol, but I keep hearing it's the lone wolf. It's the lone wolf that people should be scared of, and I agree. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We are likely just days away from the second impeachment trial of President Trump. I want to paint a little picture of what we can expect in the coming days. This trial is likely to begin around the time that incoming President Joe Biden takes office. Now, we're increasingly hearing calls from Democratic senators to do a speedy trial. They argue that there's no need for a lengthy investigation or a fact-finding mission because, in their view, the evidence of the president's misconduct is readily available on videotape.
Yeah. That's what Biden has coming in. I don't want Joe Biden to fail. I want everybody to understand. I didn't want Trump to fail. I did. It's so weird that we root against our politicians and presidents to fail because, well, I don't know why at this point. I mean, I can't even imagine. But I guess it's like about 5 weeks ago, the New York Jets won their first football game, which took them out of the running to have the number one overall pick in the draft. And this year's draft is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Some people call him a generational quarterback that will, that is going to be there. And their fans were upset. But it's different because you wanted your team to lose. We want the other team to lose, even though that it may not benefit us. And I talked about this last week. I said, I want Biden to succeed. People are like, well, that's stupid. I'm like, well, why? Because if he succeeds, then we're going to be communist. I'm like, are you that stupid? I'm like, don't answer it. Yeah, that's what people think. So he's got to face the fact that tomorrow Mitch McConnell's coming back, and he's been talking to Chuck Schumer, he's been talking to President-elect Biden about what potentially they want to do and how they want to work this. And Mitch is important in several ways, one of which is the fact that they're all coming back tomorrow, so he's going to have to start everything off. But the second thing is, as he goes, so goes Trump's presidency and potentially his future in politics.
It's going to be a very uphill climb to 67 votes in the Senate. And my Republican sources here on the Hill say it's likely to come down to Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican leader. You could potentially peel off 4 or 5 or 6 Republican senators without him, but getting to 17, which is the magic number that Democrats will need, is going to be a steep hill to climb.
Yeah, it is. It's tough because you walk a fine line if you're some of these people who are worried about the potential of, if I do this, am I done politically?
I may very well have, but I think it's also important that we have elected leaders who are not thinking solely about what's in their individual self-interest, not what is going to be politically expedient, but what we actually need for the country.
It's one of the Republicans that voted for the impeachment of Trump. And a lot of them have come out and said, you know what? I needed to do this. And maybe it cost me my career. Maybe it cost me everything in politics. That's a possibility. At the end of the day, it is absolutely a possibility that doing this will cause you to lose everything politically. That's Peter Major from Michigan. But at the end of the day, you've got to do what's right, not only for you, but for America. And I don't know what these Republicans are going to do, because I think that Mitch McConnell is tossing around a lot of different things. And like I said, as he goes, so will go the Republicans. If they think he should go, and Mitch is pushing for it, because one of the things they're looking for is cover. All right, Mitch, what do you want us to do? Well, I want you guys to vote your conscience, but I'm going to vote to impeach him. Okay, so you go and you say that. But, Mitch, I'm looking for cover. They're going to probably primary me if I do that. And, you start walking through the steps, and Mitch, he's going to have to offer cover for some of these people. So we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. That being said, it is Inauguration Week. There are a lot of guards in the Capitol. It is insane.
25,000 expected to be in place by Wednesday, a military force 5 times larger than that in Iraq and Afghanistan, as the threat to this city remains high.
Yeah, super high. Absolutely massive. Trump's going to give his little speech or send-off thing in the morning. I think he'd like it to be bigger, but then he's going to bounce.
He'll be surrounded by uniformed military at Joint Base Andrews. There will be a military band and a red carpet flanked by troops as he boards Air Force One for the last time. There may even be an Air Force fighter jet flyover just as he heads to his new home, Mar-a-Lago.
And then what? Well, then he's got to get ready for the impeachment hearings, which could potentially begin this week, and then we'll go from there. It's really weird. People say, what do you think should happen? Look, I don't think Trump should be in politics anymore, running for office. He's not going to go anywhere. He's still going to be something that hangs over the party. And it's from what I hear, and I think everybody realizes, he's spending these last several days stewing over the fact that missed opportunities to leave his mark on the presidency in a positive way, even though he lost. All that people are going to talk about in the coming weeks, months, and years is how it ended. They're not going to talk about the other stuff. They're not going to talk about the fact that he took on the swamp in some ways, and then eventually ended up getting rid of the alligators, but he replaced them with crocodiles. But they're not going to talk about the fact that very, 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 very good to great economy that was roaring. They're not going to talk about the fact that he got 3 Supreme Court justices and reshaped the federal courts below that. They're not going to talk about the fact that he pulled our soldiers out of so many places, didn't get us into any more wars. And with all that being said, started getting peace agreements between arch rivals and mortal enemies throughout the Middle East that you thought there's no way that could happen. And it did. They're not even talking about whether he did a good job or bad job with coronavirus. I think he did a bad job because I think he just eventually ignored it. But I think he did a good job with the vaccine, even though the rollout has sucked. Because November 3rd, he stopped altogether addressing anything other than the election. From November 3rd all the way through to the day he leaves, that's what people will remember. In a whole, there'll be some people who live for Trump, who love Trump, who worship Trump and all that Trump is, that will remember other things. But at the end of the day, the average person who maybe doesn't follow politics all that much, the average person who maybe doesn't really pay attention 24/7 to politics, watches some stuff, reads a little bit, but isn't like totally tuned in, they're going to remember the last 60 days, especially what took place on that Wednesday.
So he's an asterisk president. He's this weird one-offer. He's going to be remembered more in terms of like, Benedict Arnold and Jefferson Davis, figures like this. But he has no idea when you have all that power that he's had and then you lose it, and then all the lawsuits that are going to come at him. He's in deep trouble, and I wouldn't be surprised if in coming years the name Trump will be taken down at his buildings in Chicago and New York City.
That is historian Douglas Brinkley, and I think that's the Trump name itself is. I mean, it's done for. It is a brand that people don't want to be associated with. It's right now. It's taking a beating. Now, in future years, things may change. The beauty of America is we have a very short memory with a lot of different things. We have a very short memory when it comes to, because we're onto something new, when it comes to just about anything. We kind of go, I mean, if you think about what we went through last year, right? The COVID, the whole year. Then we had an impeachment. We had, you start walking all the things that we went through. It felt like it, but we moved on from those things at 1,000 miles an hour because we do have a short memory. But the brand itself, there's no doubt it's hurt right now. There's some parts of the world I think the brand is doing okay. But here in the United States, it's definitely took a huge, huge, huge hit. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. MyPillow, get your MyPillow right now. Normally $69.98, now $29.98. King size, it's $5 more. Made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. It's never going to go flat when you sleep. Plus, they've got all kinds of great deals. And I'm talking about the Giza Dream Sheets, the mattress topper, which I love. You name it, they've got incredible deals. And give yourself a great night's sleep. And it is, just try it. I mean, for $30, 60-day money-back guarantee, you got nothing to lose. You do. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. When you do use promo code Benson, you can find amazing offers, deep discounts. MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? All right. Let's find out what's trending. Find out what the doings, the happenings, the hipnings are around the globe. Keystone Pipeline, done. Biden's going to cancel that as soon as he gets in. Martin Luther King Day. Falling short, but still making progress. Yes, making progress all the time. I think you forget how young of a nation we are and how far we've come in so many different ways. A lot of other people around the globe point that out, but we tend to be very negative in a lot of things when it comes to this. But yeah, we've come a long way. But yeah, every nation has somewhere to go about something. Betty White, 99. We didn't talk about her last week because I don't want to be the one that jinxes it. I tend to be that one. Phil Spector, we're going to touch on him in a little bit, passed away yesterday, 81, died from COVID-19. Just an interesting life. All of the things that he did, how absolutely crazy he was, how he's just a bizarre human being. If you know anything about him and what he built of the wall of sound and the music that he helped create, and at the same time, just the hateful evil at times that lived inside that guy. Top of that, got a lot of stuff going on. Alexei Navalny, I don't even say his name right. Navalny? I don't know. Russian. He's the guy that was poisoned. He's the opposition leader to Putin. And by the way, being an opposition leader to Putin is like the most dangerous thing you can be. And he's been arrested on return of himself back to Russia. Now they've announced they're going to detain him for another 30 days after an impromptu court hearing. What are the chances that he survives this? Or dies of something silly like appendicitis? We just didn't know. We didn't know. God, it's nuts. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes trending. If you didn't see the game yesterday, he got his bell rung big time and had to be taken out of the game. Chad Henne, the backup quarterback, 13 years in the NFL, played in the last week of the season, but he came in and did enough to hold off the Cleveland Browns that were coming hard. We're absolutely coming hard. And the inauguration, 25,000 National Guard troops in and around D.C., place is locked down tight. So it'll be very interesting to see how this thing plays itself out in the coming few days. I think the show of force is going to deter anyone from doing things. But one of the things they were talking about earlier this week is the lone wolf and who's inspired to do something. That's the scariest of all, is that the person who is inspired because of what took place the other day to do something heinous. Case in point, look at Timothy McVeigh, Waco, all of these things. He felt that he had to do something, and it's not an overnight thing potentially. But you go and see that person who was the lone wolf, who doesn't tell anybody, who doesn't do anything to bring any kind of exposure to what he or she may be planning to do, and they do something. And that's what more and more FBI agents are calling out, especially with this mob of lunatics, that's what we need to worry about. That's the thing that we need to pay attention to, is the potential of a singular individual doing something heinous on a softer target rather than trying something big. I just don't think anything's... People are like, what do you think's going to happen this week? I said, well, as far as D.C. goes, I don't think anything's going to happen. I think the show of force is enough to put people off. But to say that something can't happen somewhere else on a softer target, well, that's what just about every FBI agent, every analyst when it comes to terrorism is saying, is people are going to look for the soft target. And where would that be? Would that be a state capitol? Would it be a federal building of some sort? And it doesn't have to be this week. The message that they may want to send may come a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. He's offering $70 million to help him find something. $70 million. That's a lot of millions. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Yeah, I think they will hit that 100 million mark. I think the issue is going to become demand. I think they're going to have the supply in place and the distribution in place to do that. Right now, 30 million doses have been shipped to the states. About another 15 will be made available to the states as of this Tuesday, and 5 million have been ordered by the states but not yet shipped. So that's a total of 50 million doses. So I think the plan that the new administration put out makes a lot of sense. It's sort of an all-the-above approach, trying to push this through different channels like the big box stores, like pharmacies, trying to set up more federally chartered sites in conjunction with the states.
It's been a nightmare, and it's still hanging out over everybody's head. It still is. Coronavirus hasn't gone anywhere. We have, over the last 60 days, watched the chaos and craziness with the election, the fighting over the election, the crazy lies about the election. There's just so much of that stuff that we watch. And I know people say, Chad, the election was not stolen. Doesn't mean we don't look into stuff, but it was not stolen. But all the while that's going on, you still had states that are completely shut down. And oddly enough, some of them are trying to figure out how they can reopen because they're starting to realize that, oh, guess what? We can't survive like this. The rollout of the vaccine has been awful across the board. Most states have failed. State like West Virginia, I think, is the best in the country. California is the worst, or second worst. Well, they're the worst in the country. I think Puerto Rico and Guam are behind them as far as U.S. territories and the United States. But outside of that, they've been the absolute worst. And they just opened up at Dodger Stadium trying to get people sorted out and get their shots. How dare they screw up those hallowed grounds by allowing Mayor Garcetti, a.k.a. Yoga Pants, and Gavin Newsom to be anywhere near there. But they're trying all they can as well. But they've been awful at it.
And we will be running tomorrow at Dodger Stadium a vaccination site that will go live tomorrow and be one of the biggest in the country, if not the biggest in the country.
Okay, great. You'll still screw it up because that's what happens. Across the board, it has been a nightmare. You couple that with the fact that we didn't even have what we thought we had in reserve. It's not going great. And you've got a lot of people that aren't going to take it. There are some hospitals in California where 1/3 to 40% of the healthcare workers are given a hard pass on taking the vaccine. That's, look, whatever your state does, and that's the way it's going to be. And let me tell you where I think we're going to be in, say, 5-6 months. I think if everybody went out and had the opportunity to take the vaccine, then we'd be in a situation where maybe 4 to 6 months, we would see a majority of the states open to normal, maybe some social distancing, maybe still some mask wearing, but by and large, everything getting to that, 70 to 90% of where we were pre-coronavirus. I think what we'll see in the coming months is some states will be doing well. Other states will not. Because they're just not going to be in a position to. People aren't going to take it. It's still going to be a hot spot and a problem. And other states are going to be wide open and live in business. I mean, you look at Florida, right? For all the chaos of Florida, they're open. For all intents and purposes, they're pretty much just open. People living their lives, doing their thing. Texas, pretty open. Arizona here, while we've got the highest positivity rate, for the most part, we're open. California and New York locked this thing down, and they're a hot mess and continuing to be a hot mess. But there's going to be a lot of people that want no part of this because you're going to hear stuff like this.
It's Johns Hopkins Medical Industrial Complex is behind the coronavirus and the vaccine. The vaccine is designed to sterilize women.
What?
Yes.
So what do you say to the people who said that there's been 350,000 people that died this year of COVID-19?
Fake news.
You can't fix that. That person doesn't care. Whatever you say, nothing in front of them will ever change their mind. That person's gone. We have this in our country right now where people are so far gone that having a conversation with them, it is, you're just not going to get it. So how? Like, some people aren't going to take it. And that's their right. I would never tell you to take it. Take it, don't take it. Do your research. Do what you think comfortable for you is. Again, this is one thing. Nobody under 16 is taking it. They didn't do any research on kids. But as we know, when you look at the death numbers, kids are hardly affected. And probably the reason isn't so much that they're under 18. The reason is because most of them don't have tons of underlying health conditions. So they're able to weather this in a much easier way than adults. But if you think that it's going to change your DNA or it's going to make women sterile, by the way, you're not a woman, sir, so what do you care? Well, it's going to make me grow a tail. Okay. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Capital, chaos, craziness. We have to look ahead now, though. And one of the things I find to be very interesting, and the thing I've been talking about over and over, we saw a radicalization. You know, one thing about Trump is for a lot of these people, Trump gave them a voice. And I've been saying that. Trump gave a lot of people a voice. Some of them have been out there for years. QAnon's been around much longer than Trump and will continue to be around. Trump, to them, for a lot of these people, Trump was no more or less just a tool to get exactly where they thought they should be. For others, they fell into it. And they ate it up, and they continue to be absolutely just engulfed in all of this chaos.
Those people that were saying those things, getting inside, people that were beating police officers, destroying windows, doors, trying to kill people, that's radicalization to violence. And so we've got that same problem not only today, but it's not going away. It's going to move forward. So we're going to face a kind of permanent insurgency for quite some time that's going to be incredibly hard to deal with.
Yeah, and that's sad. But when this whole thing happened, my uncle and I would get into this all the time. He's a huge Trump supporter. But both of us agree. Look, I want the integrity of our elections to be there in such a way that we don't question anymore, that the integrity is real, that we do not question each and every time why somebody won, how did they win, how did this happen, how. I think we should all ask those questions to make sure that every time that we have an election and we do our due diligence and we do our homework on what we did right, what we did wrong, that we get it right and make it better each and every single time. We need to do that. And there were some serious questions about the way that some of these things were done, where non-elected officials were making decisions about signatures and when they should or shouldn't allow ballots, how many days after it, those kind of things. But for so many of these people, though, this wasn't about 2 years from now an election. This wasn't about 4 years from now an election. For so many of them, this was about a singular individual.
When you see more Trump flags flying inside that Capitol than you do American flags, when you hear people saying that they are for Trump, that Trump made them do this, that Ted Cruz would think this is okay, their allegiance is to personality, not to the Constitution or America. And that's a form of cult-like radicalization that we have to deal with for the foreseeable future.
FBI Assistant Director Frank Figliuzzi. The Fig. That's what you call him. He's the Fig. Forget about it. He's right, though. For so many of these people, this was about Trump. It's not about the integrity of the elections. It's not about any of those things that you would think we should all be striving to make better each and every single time. And now that this is permeating throughout our entire country, and by the way, just not the right either. The left had serious issues with Trump winning. The majority of people in the Democratic Party that support the Democratic Party believe that Russia stole the election for Trump. And they bought into that. And I don't think it really matters at this point. And that's the sad thing. This is where I look at somebody like Biden and I think, well, maybe he'll bore everybody to death and we can have a kind of boring viewpoint of politics, which is the nuts and bolts of politics, right? Not the AOCs in the division, not the fighting over the time because Trump tweeted out something that somebody ran with and then they're fighting amongst each other, but kind of just the day-to-day run-of-the-mill, hey, we're fighting over immigration or we're fighting over, funding, the kind of things that we used to have. Because Trump and a lot of other people have used the social media to expand their base, to become a villain and a hero and a cult-like figure. And Trump is the king of that. This wasn't about all elections. This was about an election and one person in particular. One singular person, and that was Trump. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like going forward. Because luckily we have a short attention span, does it eventually get to the point where things are kind of behind us? I think for some, that may happen. And I think the other thing that's going to happen is the more and more that things aren't coming true in the QAnon world, because the newest one is, well, let's see, last week it was Trump has set this all up, and on Wednesday morning he's going to arrest a bunch of people and martial law. Then it was he's going to arrest a bunch of people who are the cannibal pedophile cabal. And the more and more that stuff doesn't come true, you'll start to see more and more people snap out of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I wanted to get to it. We'll get to it in a minute. A guy lost something. He said he's made peace, but he'd still like your help. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Wounded Paw Project, amazing organization. Been working with them for quite a while. They rescue dogs that would be euthanized. You've heard me tell the story about what they do. So these dogs are going to be euthanized. They take them from the facility and they train them. And not just puppies, dogs that are older, some dogs who are fight dogs, and they get them to our veterans, first responders, and their family. The reality is more and more soldiers return home after spending time in war zones. They struggle to get back to a normal life. And that transition, there's a struggle. Some are injured, some are struggling with PTSD. And this is where Wounded Paw Project comes in and helps. They take their love of dogs and the love of veterans, first responders, or family, and they combine the two. They rescue these animals, train them, and then get them to the veterans, first responders, and their family, and it helps them tremendously. Donating is easy. Proceeds are used to protect, advocate, transform shelter dogs into service dogs for our veterans, for our first responders, and their families. You can learn more on how you can give and see the great work they're doing by going to woundedpawproject.org. A gift of a vehicle is fantastic, by the way. If you do, an amazing tax-deductible gift, and they don't care if it flies or floats. Their motto is you'll be saving a paw to save a life. See what you can do by going to woundedpawproject.org or calling 844-678-4PAW, 844-678-4729. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Talk about the fact Mega Millions $850 million, Powerball $750 million. Your chances of winning are slim to none, but you got to play the game, right? Like somebody's going to win eventually. Just don't lose the ticket. This guy has lost the ticket to something that he was playing and winning. Talk about frustration.
San Francisco resident Stefan Thomas lost the key to unlock his digital wallet that holds 7,000 bitcoins. That translates to a whopping $220 million. The correct password is locked in a hard drive that gives users 10 guesses before it locks forever. Thomas has only 2 more tries to gain access to his fortune.
So he's got 2 more tries. Now he's got 7,000 of those. Today's price, $36,423.40 times 7,000, $254,963,800 is out there. I said that. That's a lot of cash. It's a lot of cash out there. He's offering, I guess, $70 million to help him find his thumb drive, but you only get X amount of chances. Then it's gone for good. There's no coming back. He says he's made peace. I think he's lying.
A lot of people are offering various solutions, everything from the silly to, like, for example, one person suggested, have you tried the word password? So that was one. Some people have recommended various mediums, psychics, prophets that I could talk to.
Yeah, and it's not like it's one of those things where he's not the only one, but it's bizarre because it's not like you could just password it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and something else. There is a ton of, I think, and you said it right through, Phil. I think it's the way it's encrypted and all of that stuff. You have to have like 30, 40, 50 characters. It's something real. It ain't easy. Not an overnight thing, to think of like, okay, what was this, my second grade, class homeroom teacher, and then my, and you start walking through all the things, my birth date, my kid's birth date, you start doing all this. Yeah, it's not like, it's not that. They want you to really come up with something. That's the whole point, is protecting it in such a way. And he ain't the only one. There's a lot of people out there that have done this. But could you imagine losing that? And a lot of people have lost it just because, well, they didn't take it serious.
I bought a few Bitcoin back when it was, $12 a pop. And they said, oh, isn't that cute? And now it's worth millions of dollars.
And they may not even think of it. It's like somebody who thought, did I win the lottery? And they ain't know where it's at. They don't know. Could you imagine losing $250 million? You may think you're coming to peace with it. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff to come to peace with right there. I don't know if he's taken any money out, moved stuff around, still has other areas. But this also goes to show you, if you're going to get involved in certain things like that not only do you have a backup to your backup, but you spread things around. So you make sure that if one happens to disappear, and I'm not saying you make 7,000 if you had 7,000, but maybe put 2,500 here, 2,500 there, 1,000 here, 1,000 there in different areas of different wallets, just in case. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. So much stuff. Crazy, chaotic week potentially ahead for us. It could be a very mild and boring week. That's also a possibility. So many times we think this thing's going to be insane and we're going to get all of this stuff that's going to happen, and then it's mild. And I think we're kind of hoping for a mild, boring week. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
He's a bit of a fibber.
Politicians exaggerate and some lie.
But didn't he do a lot more than most? You once said he doesn't hurl personal insults.
And I also have seen him be very compassionate towards people.
Just a list of what he said about me. Dummy, dopey, he's not a smart guy, dumbest man on television, needs to cut back on the pot, a lowlife, dumb as a rock, moron, third-rate comedian, sick, wacko, stone cold crazy. Come on, you said he doesn't hurl insults.
Bill.
That's
if you're
just
going to
me.
cherry pick things,
That's
listen,
just cherry pick.
Listen.
Got to give it to Kellyanne Conway. She went into the actual teeth of a storm going on with Bill Maher. And here's the thing about Bill that people get mad. People on the left get mad at him because he says things that piss off their feelings, because pretty much most everything over there now is driven by feelings by the extremes, and the same thing on the right. They hate him because he's a liberal and, but he says a lot of things that are real. And this weekend, she went on there, Kellyanne Conway, and you know what? He stood up for her at times. Look, you don't have to like Trump. There's a lot of people I know that voted for Trump that want no part of Trump, but wanted even less of what the left is offering in Biden. But what I've seen, and I continue to see over and over again, pushed out by a lot of people on the left, especially in the entertainment world, essentially is that, hey, you know what? Basically one person or the 500 or so that ransacked through the Capitol, it's the 74 plus million. And you can't do that.
I gave up millions of dollars to go into the White House. There's a certain value to public service, and some people look the other way. And, I would also tell you, just lumping together 74 million people with all the troublemakers, the thugs, the marauders.
That's my editorial at the end.
But it's
I'm already on your page.
It's incredibly dangerous, too. And I know they vote every 2 to 4 years, but they consume products and services every day. And I think that corporate America make a big mistake trying to lump them all together and just ignore them.
Which is absolutely true. Bill talked about, you can't say they're all the same. You can't lump them all together. There were, I don't know how many people at the rally, 25,000 or so. 3,000 went down there, 27,000, 22,000, depending on who you're saying. They left. The majority of people went home. They went back to they got in their Ubers or went back to their hotels, took off and went home for whether they drove there or flew there. Went out to dinner, whatever it was that they did. But there were also, 74 million people that didn't go there and cause trouble. And many people get lumped into that. If you vote for Trump, if you support Trump, somehow you're evil and bad. And the consumer thing is real. The left stays as far away as they can from controversy. One group does controversy and chaos tremendously well, the left. We've talked to countless CEOs on the show that have told us over and over again, they do not fear a recession. They do not fear a down quarter or two in the marketplace. They fear social justice and the insanity of it. That's what they fear. So if you're associated with the right, then somehow morally, it gives the left the opportunity to, hey, you know what? My hate of you is superior and is more heartwarming than your hatred that supposedly you have for everybody else.
I think that those marauders and murderers, I think that they insult, not represent the whole Trump movement. And that 74 million is not a base. It's a large percentage of this country. But for me, I look at the good that was done to help impact people's lives positively. I think that government is messy. I'm happy that I worked for a president who kept the Oval Office door open to many of us. We can go in and express ourselves. I didn't win every policy debate, but I was heard. And I think any woman in a workplace who is heard by her boss and has a seat at the table should really appreciate that.
Yeah, true. I mean, we have a different look, and I don't know what that's going to look like when he leaves. When Trump's really gone 2 days from now, and the dust settles, and we start to hear more and more, we get past the impeachment side of stuff, and we'll touch on that. When all of those things happen, we'll have a different look at this. Will it change everything? No. I think the last 60 days has been the really the only thing I think people will talk about in Trump's presidency. And it's been a battle. And he has battled. And a lot of the stuff that Trump has done has been self-inflicted. A lot of the stuff that Trump has done, he has done to himself. And the chaos that he thrives in, the chaos that, quite frankly, I think he feels comfortable in, it's cost him a lot. It has. But to say that everybody who supported Trump is somehow like what those people did is a lie.
I keep wrestling on this show with the hard question of how do Americans, all of us, learn to share a country with assholes you can't stand? I've preached, and still do, that you can hate Trump, but not all the people who like him.
I think that people shouldn't be mocked for what they wear, how they eat, where they eat, what they look like. And the Trump people are constantly mocked. And they felt like they had in Donald Trump somebody who was giving them more voice and visibility.
And that's true. And we've talked about it over and over again. That middle of the country, the rural part of the country, that are as American as anybody else, most of them felt like the flyover thing, that was real. That this guy was their whipping stick, if you will. He was their voice that they couldn't have. He looked them in the eye and he told them, you guys are full of blank. He looked them in the eye and he was their bully that finally came. He wasn't there because even Republicans in a lot of ways in D.C. and in other places who are prominent, in many cases, they felt like those people, they don't speak for us either. They're intelligentsia. They are, they're snobs. They look down upon us just as much as a lot of other people do. And Trump came along and he pissed them all off. And that's what we wanted him to do. I think a lot of people thought he's going to get in the office and there's going to be a bit of a battle for a while. And then it's going to be calm. And no. And the media, I look at, played a huge part in this as well. The media loves division. The media loves division because division sells. Because with division comes fighting. And with fighting comes ratings. There's a reason that when you watch reality television, that it's mostly chaos, craziness, rumors, arguments, fightings, backstabbing, because it sells. It does. And the media loved it. Read an article the other day about all the people who do Trump impressions. They're like, they don't know what to do now. Their cash cow is gone. Well, guess what? It's the same way for many in the media. I mean, yeah, they're going to get a few extra runs when it comes into what goes on here with the impeachment, but him not being able to tweet, him not being able to reach the audience, him not being actually participating anymore in any of this stuff, what are they going to say? Well, I think Trump thought this today? No. But Trump was so much to a lot of people. And for some people, it became overboard. He became godlike. And they hung on every word, and they still do. But at the end of the day, there are still 74 million Americans who voted for Donald Trump. Some of them voted specifically for Trump. I do believe a majority of them liked his. It's what you always heard for years. I like his policies, but I don't like the tweeting and the fighting. And now you've got something new. It'll be interesting to see what Biden does, and can he be a uniter? I don't know. I think through boring times, there's a possibility that, yes, he can unite somewhat by not being out there all the time, 24/7 fighting. And we should hold his feet to the fire when he does something that we don't like. And we should absolutely criticize it, but we should also be able to say, I liked what he did there. But it's tough now, because nowadays, if you choose to even say, oh, I like what he did over there, it's damaging for a lot of people. Politicians can't even be seen in the same elevator at times together, who are on the other side of each other, get off on different floors because they're worried about what social media would do. And that's the dumbest thing in the world. It truly is. But that's what we have. Social media, and then this cult-like insanity has caused us to grow apart in such a way. And when you take a step back and you take a 50,000-foot view, you realized that the majority of us, 80+%, we're not too dissimilar from one another. And you got 5 to 10% who just don't care, but you do have 5 to 10% on each side who scream and yell at such loud sounds It's tough to ignore. We need to figure out how we quiet those and give more voice to the people that aren't looking to destroy each other, but are looking to move forward together. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. AMAC, Association Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. It's got great opportunities for you to join. Pennies a day. I think it's less than $20. And the beauty of AMAC is, and I tell everybody this, they've got retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, all these amazing things. It's tough right now because of where we are and what we're going through. But they also have great things for insurance, and they'll help you with stuff. And this is what I get more and more people talking about when I tell them, hey, go check out AMAC, is they sign up for their father, maybe they sign up for themselves, and they got questions about Social Security and Medicare, and they give AMAC a call, and the next thing you know, they're walking through, giving them advice, showing them things they need to fill out, how they need to do stuff, and they love every second of that. Take advantage of it today. Join amac.us/chat. Again, pennies a day, amac.us/chat, amac.us/chat. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
We are likely just days away from the second impeachment trial of President Trump. I want to paint a little picture of what we can expect in the coming days. This trial is likely to begin around the time that incoming President Joe Biden takes office. Now, we're increasingly hearing calls from Democratic senators to do a speedy trial. They argue that there's no need for a lengthy investigation or a fact-finding mission because, in their view, the evidence of the president's misconduct is readily available on videotape.
So, could start as early as tomorrow. Now, remember, Nancy Pelosi still has the articles of impeachment because the Senate doesn't come back till tomorrow. What happens from there, I don't know. I have a feeling it'll go over there tomorrow. And, you know, I don't get too much into the weeds with some of this stuff. Like, let me know when it's time. Could start somewhat tomorrow, laying down the rules and everything. And then Chuck Schumer will take over on Wednesday, and away it goes. How fast will it be? I couldn't tell you when it comes to that. The biggest question is, can you get the 17 votes that you need for impeachment of Donald Trump? Only one person will really be able to do that, and that's Mitch McConnell. That's the end of the day. It's Mitch, period, case closed. How he decides will say everything and signal everything to the people who may want to vote for impeachment and a removal, essentially not a removal, but a making sure that you can never. That's what this is about. This is about, for all intents and purposes, essentially down the road, and not just in 4 years, but through the next umpteen years, eliminating his real power when it comes to the Republican Party. And without the social media, the fact is that he is, in many cases, already had so much of his power taken away from him. And we're going to touch on social media in general in a minute. But Mitch will be kind of the decider, because as goes Mitch, we'll go the Republicans.
It's going to be a very uphill climb to 67 votes in the Senate. And my Republican sources here on the Hill say it's likely to come down to Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican leader. You could potentially peel off 4 or 5 or 6 Republican senators without him, but getting to 17, which is the magic number that Democrats will need, is going to be a steep hill to climb.
And I don't know if the Republicans want to do that. I think there's, like I said, the people I've talked to, both Republicans and Democrats, have all kind of signaled, had this happened in early December, what took place, the attack on the Capitol and everything, had that happened, say, first week of December, there's no doubt that they would probably proceed in such a way. The feeling is, as we move a little bit further away from it, Biden gets ready to take over, which is less than, 2 days away, that they're going to want to put this behind as fast as possible. But I think a lot of it's going to be up to Mitch. And I think Mitch is going back and forth in this. Some of it is true conscience, and the other is very pragmatic to decide, what am I going to do? Because I'm going to have to deal with these people. And some of them, while not as fervent and insane and angry as the people that attacked the Capitol, some of them, though, are voters that you're going to have to deal with them in the coming months and years. So it's a tough thing to do. The other side of things, Biden's got work to do. And as Trump and Obama and everybody else lives by the pen, they shall die by the pen and breathe new life into other things.
Joe Biden plans to hit the ground running after being sworn in with a flurry of executive actions aimed at fulfilling several key campaign promises. The actions include extending the current pause on student loan payments and interest for millions of Americans, rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, ending the Trump administration's Muslim ban, and extending nationwide restrictions on evictions and foreclosures. This is in addition to pushing Congress to move ahead on the $1.9 trillion COVID relief measure he proposed last week.
He's not going to get all of it. That's just not going to happen. It wasn't a Muslim ban. It was a terrorist ban. It had to be from Muslim countries. But yes, it was supposed to be about terrorists. We have terrorists here. I get that. Trust me, we'd like to weed them all out. Period. Case closed. But the $1.9 trillion, I don't know if he's going to get that. And how he goes about getting it will also say a lot of where this money goes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
One of the things that is really frustrating to me at this particular moment is when I hear from people like distinguished minority leader Kevin McCarthy talk about this is a moment of healing. The people who have helped cause this are not the people who can lead in healing. They need to move out of the way. To try to overturn a legitimate election, to try to trample on the will of the American people is something that is unforgivable. These people do not belong in office, and certainly they do not belong in high-ranking positions.
Jim McGovern, Democrat, obviously, can't heal. And this is part of the fight over can we heal as you fight for your team, right? Like that's what you fight for your team. Did it go too far? Yeah, it went way too far. Too many people on one side of the aisle got behind a lot of crazy conspiracy theories that didn't have any modicum of truth in it whatsoever. And then they surrounded themselves with even people who were way further out there. And they started buying into a lot of this insanity that was out there. And you can't do that. You just can't. You cannot do that. You need to step away from that and start to think to yourself, all right, hold on a second. I'm okay with asking questions about an election. I've said that from the beginning. Zero problems with that. But I also look at the facts. Even today, somebody started sending me all kinds of stuff. And you started pointing out where they were just completely lied to. And that's not true. And you start showing them things, even from websites that they trust. And it doesn't matter because they come up with something new. We were talking about this. There's a documentary that was called Small Change. Came out. It's a documentary about 9/11 inside job. I think they're on Small Change like 20 something because every time they would come out with something new, it would be debunked in 5 seconds. And then they would come up with another thing. Some people, they're not interested in unity. They want the things that they want. Same thing for people on the far left. They want the things that they want. They're not interested in any of this stuff. And we're not going to always agree. And I think that's the first place that we need to realize is, look, guys, we're not going to agree on everything. But there are places that we can agree on things. And then other places we fight. But the most important thing is we need to start fighting for the right reasons instead of so much of what that's out there right now, which is lies, and we're fighting over things that they're not true. They've never been true. Both sides of it have absolutely a massive part to play. It's not just the right. It isn't. Both of them are fighting battles of insanity. But yeah, we've got to figure out a way to come together. And I think for the most part, most of us are. But for the extreme right, it's tough. And guess what? They're getting crushed. When you look at the polls, when you look at the things that are happening, there's a huge battle right now that needed to happen within the Republican Party, regardless of what took place last week, which is this going to be Trump's party or is this going to be a conservative Republican Party? How is this going to look going forward? But the conspiracy theories are not helping the average person in the Republican. I've had more Republicans, more people who are just over anything associated with so much of this insanity, and they want no part of it.
The Republican Party has to root out the conspiracy theorists and get back to the ideals that the Republican Party platform is based on. Free market, free enterprise, freedom, and getting people back to work. Now, I understand that the administration, he is not going to be able to hit the ground running, but I think unity and even bringing in some Republicans into the cabinet might be a great way to show that he is pushing all of this nonsense aside, getting rid of the Donald Trumps of the world, and is doing what he can to work with Republicans.
And you've got to show that. And you need to show this. His speech, what's that tone going to be like? What's that tone like this week? What's that tone like? What's the respect like? Last night, I watched the Saints and the Bucks play, right? So you have Tom Brady, no argument, the GOAT, greatest of all time. And Drew Brees, whose numbers, first ballot Hall of Famers, got himself a Super Bowl, what he means to New Orleans. But, they battled it out. At the end of the game, Brady won. After the game, he's out on the field with Drew Brees, in street clothes, and he's playing catch with Drew Brees' kids, and he's giving them hugs, and it was a respect. They battled each other, but then it was over. They took each other on, then it was over. Nobody wanted to win more than those two guys last night. But there was a respect. We have lost that. We have lost that side of respecting one another because we no longer see each other as anything other than the enemy when it comes to the loud voices. And that's a sad thing. And Mia Love is right there. The conspiracy theory things, enough. It used to be fun, right? It used to be like they got aliens locked up in Area 51. You're like, all right, maybe. I don't know. The earth is flat. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it. I've seen the pictures. I don't think so. But if you think so, I don't really care. That's great. Like, it's not hurting anybody. Like, I can't prove they don't have aliens. And you can't prove that they do. We can both agree that there's some weird stuff that goes on there, but neither of us can prove anything is or isn't in there. Right? Like, who killed Kennedy? Everybody's got their theories. The mob did it. I don't know. Maybe. FBI? I don't know. Maybe. CIA? Maybe. Cuba? Maybe. I don't know. Can't prove it. Little things like that. It used to be like it was a debate. Because something happened, something goes on, and you have that debate. Nowadays, it's not that way. Nowadays, it is information and disinformation. And it is left versus right, progressive versus alt-right, I guess. So you got the alt-left and the alt-right, and they're battling each other over information and misinformation, and it's not good. And now we have something out there that we didn't have 15, 20 years ago that really is starting to really take shape to a point where we say words like influencers and you start to go, oh my God, like that's a job. Being an influencer is a job. It's always been that way. It has always been that way. Before he got in trouble, him and his wife helping their daughters get into colleges they didn't go to, Massimo, when he first got into like the business and he was making big noise, he used to bring all of and like a lot of designers did, they'd bring the young kids into essentially inside their warehouses and say, you guys get all the free clothes you want. All the cool kids. Well, that's really mean. Why? Because they're influencers. That was how he used to start it. Let them go influence by getting some of their clothes out there. What do kids like, don't like? Influencing. Nowadays, influencing is real. And you look at the media, and that's not a good thing because the media is a business. And nowadays, it's about clicks, it's about likes, it's about shares. There's a lot of different things that go into what the media shows you and doesn't show you because they found their niche audiences and they're no longer interested in truth. If it happens to be truthful, all the better. If some of it's kind of truthful, that's great too. But as long as you're paying attention, that's what wins. Both sides do it. The left is way better at it than the right. And you have too many people out there who want to shut the right down. This is insane. This is former Facebook exec Alex Stamos.
We have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers to reach these huge audiences. There are people on YouTube, for example, that have a larger audience than daytime CNN, and they are extremely radical and pushing extremely radical views. And so it's up to the Facebooks and YouTubes in particular to think about whether or not they want to be effectively cable networks for disinformation. And then we're going to have to figure out the OANN and Newsmax problem. These companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure we need Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such to be bringing them into tens of millions of homes. Allowing people to seek out information if they really want to, but not pushing it into their faces, I think is where we're going to have to go here.
And that's ridiculous. Look, I am all for getting rid of disinformation. You want to hold the media accountable? Make it easier for the media to be held accountable when it comes to lawsuits and to things of that nature. Make them accountable in that way. You watch what happens. Remember Seth Rich? Did you see Fox had to pay a huge amount of money to his family? Now, he worked with Hillary Clinton, and supposedly he had emails, and then people like Alex Jones and everybody else talked about how he was murdered right before, and all these things. And, well, they had to pay a ton of money to his family, and they just announced it. They said they'd wait till after the election. Alex Jones and many others have come out and apologized, had the right essentially mea culpa. Is like, oh my God, we lied. We didn't get it. We need to start holding them accountable. But we also have to start holding ourselves accountable. If you can't differentiate between the truth and lies, if you don't ask yourself, is this really true? Is this really true? Then that's a you thing. We need more speech, not less. We need everybody's point of view. But there's a difference between somebody who's not giving you all the information because they don't have all the information or they've misunderstood something. It's another thing to just blatantly lie. And that's where these things that need to be held accountable across the board. If you're blatantly lying about whatever it was. These are the things we need to be looking at. There's a battle that's coming on, and that is the battle when it comes to the media, when it comes to information, and the right is far, far behind the left. And even that executive there, the former executive from Facebook, he's not even calling on companies to take away their voice. What he's trying to do is trying to make it virtually impossible for them to get to an audience. That's the way they go about doing things. You need to figure out how you fight back. But you do that by giving people the information that's true. And here's the other thing. We as a nation are going to have to start hearing things that we don't want to hear. Right? So many of us want to hear only the things that we want to hear. Rather than being told the things that we need to hear, we want to be told the things we want to hear. And we're going to have to start figuring out how we do that. And it's tough because people don't want to lose audience. But deplatforming people is not the way. Because if you're deplatforming somebody over here because you don't like what they're saying, then eventually the ball will be in their court and they'll be looking for you. And we don't want any of that. But it's about in the search for truth and people to start giving us news that's real and giving us the story, not the story as you see it or you want to see it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Car Shield is great. My whole family's on it. I've got it. You should get it as well. In this day and age, the last thing you want to do right now probably is have that check engine light come on and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I'm not protected. That's where Car Shield comes in. It offers maximum safety on the road for low monthly costs, as low as $99 a month. So just in case you need a repair done and it's going to be expensive, you find out that Car Shield has you covered. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose the shop. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. And it doesn't matter what it is. Your car's a little bit older. You got tons of electronics. You find out, you think, oh yeah, well, this is only the drivetrain of my warranty. It's not protecting anything inside here. And next thing you know, you need a few sensors repaired. They got to take your whole dashboard apart to get some of that stuff. On the other side of things, maybe your car doesn't have any of those, but you do worry about your transmission and your engine. They've got a plan that's right for you. Be specific when you call them and drive with confidence. They're there to do what? To help protect your wallet and your car. And that's a great thing. 800-665-2157. Use code Benson to save 10%. Or go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
Phil Spector was perhaps the most influential record producer in history. You can hear it on records like Be My Baby by the Ronettes and singles by the other girl groups like this one by the Crystals. And there was a worldwide hit by the Righteous Brothers, You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling. In 2003, Phil Spector was charged with murder after actress Lana Clarkson was fatally shot at his home. Following a mistrial, he was found guilty in 2009 and sentenced to 19 years to life in prison.
And he's dead. And he was both genius and nut job. And a killer. It's what he was. I mean, he ruled through intimidation at times. I think the Ramones, who still worked with him, said at one time he held him at gunpoint. They held him at gunpoint, made him play like a whole concert for him, which, it's the Ramones. So what is it, like 40 minutes? But everybody wanted to work with him because he created the wall of sound. And it was about layering. It was about all these instruments. It was about giving, even at the time, AM radio a giant feel. And rather than turning up all the faders, as they would say, he put together a large ensemble. He would play sometimes the same song with just different instruments over and over again. So you play this part, then I'm going to have that same part played by them, and then we're going to layer it. We're going to do all these things. And everybody wanted to work with him. Everybody. Brian Wilson used that formula when he created Pet Sounds, which is arguably the greatest singular album in many people's minds. But this guy was a nut job. And he put a gun in somebody's mouth and he killed her. It was just, you think, like, what happened to you? Like, how are you so angry? How are you so pissed? How did you get to that point where you seemingly have everything, but it didn't matter? It didn't matter. And he worked with everybody, by the way. And I'm talking everybody. Worked with the Beatles. Big time. Last album, that was all him, right? Let It Be. From there, he worked with John, Imagine, and George. But at the same time, something about the guy was off. And this was not his first rodeo with guns. They would talk about how he played with guns all the time. He'd shoot guns in the studio. It's crazy. But he's gone. Dead. Bad wigs, too. So many bad wigs. That guy had so many bad wigs. He seems like a person that would have been eating up politics in today's world with conspiracy theories. He felt like that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet and text the program. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Big week ahead, but I do believe it's going to be a quiet week, and I think we could all use that. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.